Hello and welcome to ENI UK and Europe Edition. I'm Giancarlo Matera reporting from London. We'll be bringing you news reports from the United Kingdom and around Europe. And we have live reporters joining us today on standby, ready to give their reports. In our lineup today, shoppers flock to England's reopened high streets as national lockdown ends. 4 die in UK chemical tank explosion. Demand for dry ice soars due to COVID-19 vaccine. And the new pandemic hospital inaugurated in Madrid, Spain. And also joining us, the first of our live reporters on standby is Love Ann Season. Hello, Love Ann. What updates do you have for us this week?
Hi, Giancarlo. Yes, so for this week, I'll be reporting about UK giving their approval on a COVID-19 vaccine, which has been hailed as a historic moment in the fight against COVID-19. So I'm looking forward to reporting more about it later on.
Okay, thank you, Love Ann. We look forward also to hearing more about that story later. Also joining us this week again, we have Ashley Espiritu. Hello, Ashley. What news stories do you have for us this week?
Thank you, Giancarlo, for having me. I will be reporting on the sad news of the death of actor Dave Prowse, better known as Darth Vader, dying at the age of 85 last Sunday.
Thank you, Ashley. We'll hear more details on that story coming up later in the program. We have is from EBC France, our bureau there. It's Febeline Calpo. Hello, Febeline. Thank you for joining us. What updates do you have for us today?
Yes, bonjour, Giancarlo. I'm reporting on some easing on lockdown on restrictions on COVID-19.
Thank you, Febeline. We await that report later also in the program. We also have a report from our bureau in EBC, Italy, reported by Mia Legaspi on how Italy is preparing itself for a massive vaccination campaign in January 2021. And we will end today's program, as always, with our view from our window. And this week it's from right here in the United Kingdom, and we will be visiting the Seven Sisters Cliffs. But first, the news headlines this week. Shoppers returned to England's high streets on Wednesday as shops reopened following the end of a nationwide 4-week coronavirus lockdown. On a day dubbed Wild Wednesday, because of the expectation of huge numbers of shoppers, customers wearing masks and laden with bags flocked to stores on Oxford Street in central London. The easing of restriction has come as a relief to the hard-hit retail industry. Non-essential shops were forced to close, compounding losses made during the first lockdown in March to June. But a new regional system for curbing the spread of the coronavirus is now in place, with parts of the country in the highest of 3 tiers still effectively locked down. The system, designed to allow families and friends to spend the holiday season together, has been criticized as doing little to reinstate cherished freedoms and help the ailing economy. Most of England's 55 million population has gone straight into Tier 2 or Tier 3, depending on local infection rates, limiting household mixing and the reopening of the hospitality sector. Just 1% of the country, the southwest county of Cornwall, the Isle of Scilly and the Isle of Wight in the south, are the only areas in the least restrictive Tier 1. London, Britain's capital and driving force of the UK economy, is in Tier 2, meaning restaurants can reopen, but obeying social distancing rules. But in Tier 3, areas which take in some 23 million people and includes Britain's second city, Birmingham, hospitality venues will remain closed except for takeaway. Prime Minister Boris Johnson, himself a COVID survivor, succeeded in winning a vote on the measures in Parliament on Tuesday night, despite opposition within his own Conservative ranks. News now on 4 people have died on Thursday when a chemical tank exploded at a wastewater treatment plant near Bristol in Western England. A 5th person was wounded in the explosion at the plant in Abermouth, but their injuries were said not to be life-threatening. Police said they would not be speculating on the cause of the blast, but added it was not being treated as terror-related. Avon and Somerset Police Chief Inspector Mark Ronacres said the explosion at the plant operated by Wessex Water occurred in a silo that holds treated biosolids before they are recycled as organic soil conditioners. Emergency services were called to reports of a large explosion at approximately 11:20 a.m. The fire services leading the rescue operations. Luke Gazzard from the Avon Fire and Rescue Service said the incident had been very challenging, and police said 3 of the victims were employees of Wessex Water, while the 4th was a contractor. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted that he was deeply saddened to learn that the 4 people have lost their lives, and police reassured local residents that there was not believed to be any ongoing public safety concerns following the blast, but urged members of the public to avoid the area. A probe has been launched into the blast with the Health and Safety Executive. Now, as the world prepares for the arrival of the new COVID-19 vaccines, one of Europe's only manufacturers of dry ice machines and Belgium's only producer, Cryonomic, is overloaded. Demand has soared by 4 to 5 times. The new vaccines will need to be stored and transported in very low temperatures. They will need temperature-controlled thermal shippers with dry ice. The commercial director explains that a standard container is used to keep dry ice for up to 2 to 3 weeks. If maintained closed and as long as there is dry ice, the contents will be at minus 80 degrees Celsius. They expect orders to rise even more from countries who do not have dry ice available yet to locally distribute the vaccine. They are currently preparing machines able to produce dry ice for Morocco, the Philippines, and Russia. European countries have reserved millions of doses of the vaccines currently under regulatory approval. We go to Spain now, as they have inaugurated on Tuesday a hospital in Madrid capable of treating more than 1,000 people during a health emergency. The new hospital will have Madrid's most advanced intensive care unit and is set to open in stages. It was built to ease the burden on hospitals in the region of Madrid and to allow them to gradually recover non-COVID-19 patients for surgeries and medical care consultations. 116 medical staff have so far been recruited. Madrid is one of the regions in the country worst hit by COVID-19. During the first wave of the pandemic, the authorities had to set up a field hospital in an exhibition center to help the hospitals in the region accommodate the increasing number of infected patients. Out of over 1.6 million cases and 45,000 fatalities nationwide, more than 1/5 of the infection and 1/4 of the deaths came from Madrid. The construction of the hospital has sparked some opposition, though. Dozens of healthcare professionals demonstrated, criticized the project. One demonstrator qualified the hospital's complex as useless because, according to her, there are already unused beds in other hospitals, and added that the money used to finance the 100 million euro project could have been used instead into resources that are really necessary, like contract tracers, personnel, and materials. It's time for a break now, but please come back for more E&I UK and Europe edition.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Welcome back to E&I UK and Europe edition. Now it's time to go to our live reporters on standby for their interesting stories from around the United Kingdom this week. We start off with the news of the BioNTech Pfizer vaccine getting approved in the UK. We have with us Lavan Season with more information. Hello, Lavan.
Thank you, Giancarlo. So Britain on Wednesday, first Western country to approve a COVID-19 vaccine for general use as the global death toll rose towards 1.5 million. The British government has accepted a recommendation by the country's independent medicines regulator to give the green light to Pfizer BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine to be given to the general public. Here's the Prime Minister Boris Johnson with this announcement.
Today, we can announce that the government has accepted the recommendation from the Independent Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency to approve the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine for distribution across the United Kingdom. After months of clinical trials involving thousands of people to ensure that the vaccine meets the strictest internationally recognised standards of safety, quality and effectiveness. The UK was the first country in the world to pre-order supplies of this Pfizer vaccine, securing 40 million doses. Through our winter plan, the NHS has been preparing for the biggest programme of mass vaccination in the history of the UK, and that's going to begin next week. It will inevitably take some months before all the most vulnerable are protected, long, cold months. So it's all the more vital that as we celebrate this scientific achievement, we're not carried away with over-optimism or fall into the naive belief that the struggle is over. It's not. We've got to stick to our winter.
Pfizer said Wednesday it will begin transporting the vaccine to Britain's state-run National Health Service, or NHS, within days. The NHS, charged with delivering the free mass vaccination program, will start administering jabs to the most vulnerable early next week. The NHS has decades of experience in rolling out vaccination programs and has put in place extensive deployment plans, the UK's health ministry has said. Pfizer said it has no current plans to provide the vaccine to private sector buyers in Britain. Now, the vaccine, which proved 95% effective in global trials, requires 21 days apart doses. BioNTech and Pfizer have said they expect to supply up to 50 million doses globally in 2020 and up to 1.3 billion in 2021. Now, Britain has pre-ordered 40 million doses in total and expects to receive an initial batch of 800,000 to begin next week's rollout. Pfizer said it will scale up from there through the remaining weeks of this year and into 2021. Regulators are still to approve the vaccine in the United States, which has ordered 100 million doses, or in European Union, where 300 million are on order. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Lavan, for that update. But how does the government plan to roll out this vaccine to the public?
Well, Giancarlo, the UK health officials put together a criteria to decide when people will receive any approved COVID-19 vaccines. It is their top priority to prevent more death and protect health and social care staff and the system, of course. And now the elderly care home residents and their carers will be the very first to get vaccinated, then those aged 80 and over, and the frontline healthcare and the staff. Now, other elderly people and the clinically extremely vulnerable will be next, with the rest of the population then prioritized by age. Now, in the US, a high-level panel of experts voted Tuesday for a similar plan that will see healthcare workers and residents of long-term care facilities to get the jab first. Giancarlo?
Thank you, Lavan. That sounds promising. But are there any challenges that are being expected with the vaccine?
Yes, that's correct. It is actually. There are challenges, and Pfizer and BioNTech's vaccine has notable obstacles when it comes to transport and storage. Now, according to them, it must be stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius or 94 degrees Fahrenheit for periods of up to 6 months. And these temperatures are much colder than those of a standard freezer. Now, the vaccine will be manufactured at Pfizer's plant in Perth, Belgium, and transported in temperature-controlled thermal shippers that use dry ice. It can then be stored for up to 5 days at about 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. And this will enable it to be transported and stored on a regular fridge at distribution centers. Now, this was according to Pfizer and the UK government. Now, the health ministry, Giancarlo, said it will first only deliver the vaccine to hospital hubs with ultra-cold storage capability. And the doses will then also be distributed to local community services and vaccination centers for administering. Giancarlo?
Thank you so much for that report, Lavan, and keeping us updated with the recent developments.
Thank you, Giancarlo, for having me, reporting from London, United Kingdom. I'm Love Ann Season, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, now we go to our next reporter, Ashley Espiritu, reporting on the news of Dave Prowse and the actor behind Darth Vader passing away. Hello again, Ashley.
Hello, Giancarlo. Thank you for having me. Yes, Dave Prowse, the British actor behind the menacing black mask of Star Wars villain Darth Vader, has died at the age of 85, his agent said on Sunday. A former bodybuilder turned actor, Prowse's towering stature at almost 2 meters clinched him the role of the infamous antagonist in the original Star Wars trilogy. Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker in the epic saga, tweeted that he was so sad to hear Dave Prowse has passed away. He was a kind man and much more than Darth Vader, Hamill wrote. Actor, husband, father, member of the Order of the British Empire, 3-time British weightlifting champion, he loved his fans as much as they loved him. Prowse's agent, Thomas Bowington, announced the news on Facebook on Sunday, writing, "It's with great sadness that we have to announce that our client Dave Prowse passed away yesterday morning at the age of 85. May the force be with him always," the agent later told BBC. Bowington added that Prowse's death following a short illness was a truly and deeply heart-wrenching loss for us and millions of fans all over the world. But while he donned the glossy black armor and cape, Prowse's strong Western English accent meant the filmmakers turned the US actor James Earl Jones for the chilling voice that would emerge from behind the mask. Prowse, nevertheless, remained attached to the character, telling AFP in 2013 that he was the greatest big-screen villain of all time. Prowse was born in the southwest England city of Bristol on July 1, 1935, to a working-class family, winning a scholarship to the prestigious local school, Bristol Grammar. He soon developed a love for weightlifting and went on to represent his country at the Commonwealth Games in the early 1960s before forging a career in Hollywood. He trained Christopher Reeve for the role of Superman and was reportedly spotted by Star Wars director George Lucas as an extra in the 1971's A Clockwork Orange. Lucas asked him to audition for the roles of Vader and hair giant Chewbacca, with Prowse choosing the dark side because you always remember the bad guys, he once told BBC. The Peter Mayhew Foundation, set up in memory of the actor who played Chewbacca, tweeted a picture of Mayhew with Prowse and their co-star Kenny Baker, along with the message "R.I.P. Dave Prowse." At home, Prowse is equally well remembered for playing the Green Cross Code Man, a superhero created as part of a public information campaign to teach children road safety. He played the role for almost 20 years and earned an MBE in 2000. Since the original Star Wars trilogy was released in the late 1970s and early 80s, Prowse had traveled the world meeting hardcore fans. However, it was reported that he later fell out with the director Lucas and was banned from official events in 2010. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you for that report, Ashley. Can we ask, were there any other reactions from Prowse's fellow actors upon knowing the news of his death?
Yes, well, Giancarlo, many had posted and reacted to the sad news. William Shatner even tweeted saying, "Saddened to wake up to the news that my Twitter friend Dave Prowse passed away. David, a literal giant among men, played many roles in his career. His most famous role was being the misunderstood father who tried to give the universe to his very disobedient twins," hashtagging it Darth Vader. John Barrowman, who got to work with Prowse, also tweeted, "Dave Prowse has passed away. We knew him we knew him best as Darth Vader. David got me into shape and trained me for my role in Matador. He was genuine, kind, loving man, loving life, friends, fitness, and his fans. Dave was a huge part of our con family. His smile will be missed. It's truly evident Dave Prowse will always be remembered as the amazing Darth Vader, actor and friend. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you again, Ashley, for that news report and for joining us again this week.
Thank you for having me, Giancarlo. I'm Ashley Spiritu, EBC London correspondent, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, it's time for another break now, but please come back for more ENI UK and Europe edition.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Welcome back to ENI UK and Europe edition. Now we bring you more news stories from around Europe this week. We go to Marseille, France now for an update on the different measures in place in the country. Joining us live is Febeline Calpo. Thank you, Febeline, for joining us again.
Hello, Giancarlo. In France, President Emmanuel Macron said on his televised address that shops could reopen this weekend and that nationwide stay-at-home orders would be lifted from December 15. But a curfew from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. also start on December 15. Restaurants and bars will remain closed until January. He also stated people will be able to travel without authorization, including between regions, and spend holiday with their family. But restrictions would stay in place to avoid a third wave. On the other hand, Prime Minister Jean Castex said last Tuesday that he was worried about New Year parties, which he called COVID factories. Ski resorts will be open during the holidays, but the slopes will be closed for winter sports. With Switzerland maintaining its slopes open, France had warned that there would be measures to dissuade the French from having ski holidays. France has also signed 3 vaccine contracts with pharmaceutical companies and is talking with 3 others at a very advanced stage. Each contract signed would cover 30 million vaccine doses, said government spokesman Gabriel Attal. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Febeline. Are there any plans for the vaccination campaign to happen there in France?
Yes, Giancarlo. Last Tuesday, President Emmanuel Macron said France aims to launch a major COVID-19 vaccination campaign between April and June next year. He also said the likely limited availability of vaccines by the end of December or early January meant mass vaccination would have to wait. Back to you, Giancarlo.
Thank you, Febeline and EBC France for bringing us that report.
Thank you for having me, Giancarlo. I am Febeline Calpo from Marseille France Bureau reporting for Eagle News International. We live in interesting times.
Okay, we go to Italy now, as Italy is preparing to launch its own massive vaccination campaign in anticipation of the new COVID-19 vaccine approval. We have Mia Legaspi reporting for us from Milan with the details. Let's watch her report.
Italy among European countries now struggling with the second wave of the pandemic. And the country is now preparing to launch a massive vaccination campaign in January, according to Health Minister Roberto Speranza. There has been a global effort to find treatments and vaccines last month, like US pharma giant Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech reported a breakthrough with a jab shown to be more than 90% effective. Several potential vaccines have shown promising results in clinical trials, including one about to be tested in Italy on hundreds of volunteers. The Italian government has appointed a task force to plan how and where the first doses will be delivered when international regulators approve a successful vaccine. Scientists estimate that 60 to 90% of a population needs to be vaccinated, possibly every year, to reach herd immunity against the coronavirus and stop future outbreaks. The health minister also said that the vaccine will be free in Italy and will be voluntary. According to the plan outlined by the government, healthcare workers and medically vulnerable groups will be the first ones to receive it. Italians may soon get a vaccination passport to keep track of their vaccination records to be able to move within the country or travel abroad. Scientist Maria Rosaria Capobianchi, the head of one of the first teams of virologists in Europe to isolate the DNA sequence of this virus, she said in an interview at the Corriere della Sera that the vaccine alone will not make the virus disappear. SARS-CoV-2 uses every crack to reproduce. In order to prevent contagion, we will have to change our behavior. Reporting from Milan, Italy, I am Mia Legaspi, and we live in interesting times.
A giant set of Olympic rings have returned to Tokyo's waterfront on Tuesday after maintenance, with officials hoping that the symbols will help build enthusiasm for the coronavirus postponed games. Promising vaccine trials have boosted Tokyo's hopes of holding the Olympics, now scheduled to open on July 23, 2021, after the pandemic forced the unprecedented decision to delay. The 69-ton interlocking rings were installed in Tokyo at the start of the year as the city began the final countdown to the games, but were towed away in August for maintenance and inspection. They returned Tuesday with a fresh coat of paint and plans to light them up at nighttime. We are working very hard so that we can hold an Olympic Games in which people feel safe, a Tokyo City government official told reporters. With the installation of the Olympic symbol, we would like more people to feel that the event is approaching soon and to feel excited about it. A poll held last July showed that just 1 in 4 people in Japan wanted to see the Games held in 2021, with most backing either a further delay or a cancellation completely. There are also reports, concerns about the sponsors, with organizers tight-lipped on how many will continue to extend their sponsorship contracts. Olympic and Japanese officials have said that they remain committed to holding the Games next year, and the International Olympic Committee said in Tokyo last month that they were very, very confident that spectators will be able to attend. These giant rings will stay in place until the end of the Olympics and will then be replaced by the Paralympic symbol in mid-August. We would like many people to come here and see it and feel the momentum building, while at the same time being cautious about virus prevention. To end today's program, we go again to our view from a window. And this week we are closer to home, right here in the United Kingdom. Let's take a look at the Seven Sisters Cliffs located at the South Downs National Park. It's a perfect destination if you want to go on a day trip outside of the City of London. The Seven Sisters is one of England's natural wonders, and they are a wide range of chalk cliffs rising out of the English Channel as they were created when the sea cut into the valleys, creating these chalk cliffs. This video is courtesy of Erica Celestino, here from our EBC UK Bureau. Thank you for that footage. And that's the latest news and stories from the United Kingdom this week. We hope you stay safe and keep positive as we bring you more stories next week from around the United Kingdom and Europe. I'm Giancarlo Matera, and we live in interesting times.